Jackpot. Where's it going? Okay. I couldn't start this voice box there so much, headed out of the barn there. That old Bucky got a little air out of his lungs. We'll get some video footage about what's going on here in a second, but just talking for now. So this is another exciting episode of Brett trotting around in the desert, not knowing exactly where he's going, and also not knowing exactly what he's looking for. There's supposed to be some cows out here. They're on this other guy's permit. They're not his, which I may discover that in fact they are his because he's kind of a farmer. But I know they're not the ones that I'm looking after because I trotted through mine and counted them all. But a bunch of these farmers are up in arms, so I said, well, I've got a colt. Wouldn't hurt him to trot out there, have a look around. So I'll look around and see what I see. At the very least, put some horse tracks out here so nobody can be too upset. And the horse I'm riding is this buckskin colt that I actually did a video on him yesterday or the day before. I kind of put him in not a real traditional style, but a two-rein outfit because he's ready to start advancing out of a snaffle and into a better handle. And I talked about how it's so easy to do on the ranch because you just go to work, you go trot across the desert. They already know, if you've ridden them out there a little bit, they already know to avoid brush and cactuses and things like that, and you can read where they're reading the country and where they're picking's a better place to go. And so you really teach them to steer good that way. So that's why I took Bucky, because that's essentially what I'm doing here. You'll hear sometimes the inflection in my voice changes. That's because he wasn't paying attention, so I steered him into a bush or something like that, just so I can keep his mind on the game. But like I said, I had to get out here a little ways to get a little air out of his lungs before I could do much. Not that he was being bad, we were just doing something different, and he was being a colt. Out of my barn, I had to trot down the road a little ways, and there's I don't know, 4 or 5 neighbors there, and I had to go past their place. And one neighbor's got a bloodhound and 6 basset hounds that come running to the gate and bay at you, so that's something for a colt to stare at. And then after that's a neighbor with a bunch of goats. That's something we got to stare at. And then there's some neighbors there that are indigenous Native Americans. You notice I didn't call them Indians because for some reason we're not allowed to call them Indians anymore. But we passed their place and they had some stuff for him to look at. And then there's a couple other neighbors there. They're all nice folks, by the way. But this is Thursday. They've got regular jobs. Nobody's there. They just had dogs in the yard and goats in the yard, and just their stuff going on. This colt needed to look at. Now that we've gotten out into the desert, he says, "Oh, I understand the desert." So he's trotting along, and I was able to turn my microphone on, get just a little more trot out of him here, where I feel pretty good about the world, and I'll try to get the camera out. But that's what I'm up to, is just cruising around out there, or out here, seeing if I can't find a cow. And like I said, I think this is kind of a witch hunt, but it's only about 20 minutes for me to trot to where there was a supposed confirmed sighting of a cow that didn't belong where she was supposed to be. And so, trotting 20 minutes out, trotting 20 minutes back, make this colt a better colt. For sure. And then, like I said, possibly placate these farmers at the end of January. They're all wanting to get in a big farmer war anyway because they're bored, blaming each other for having cows where they're not supposed to be. So it's really none of my affair. But somehow or another that's good. Just blew some doves up out of the brush there, and old colt didn't spook at him at all. He just kept trotting. So, top of this little hill, he's a little bit out of breath. It's a good chance to get this camera out. Seem to be ginning. Where are we? There's Bucky's ears. So, should be somewhere out there. I don't know if y'all can see it or not. Is there's a water treatment plant there. And so, I'm just showing the sky. All around that deal, there's a whole bunch of little alfalfa farms where these farmers keep these cattle all winter. And so it could be any one of those got a wire down. Could be those cattle that are out and about. Like I said, I know they're not the ones I'm supposed to be taking care of because I counted mine. And mine got to trot 20 minutes across the desert to be out here, so I don't know why they would do that. We're cruising around out here. I'll see whose cows they are. And it did appear to me, probably won't be able to see it in this video, but it did appear to me that there was a cow or two standing out there. We'll just have a look, see. But this is what I'm talking about with the helping these horses learn in the 2-rein, trying to show where I'm going here. He knows to avoid that brush, so I just go ahead and help ask him then. This one he didn't comply when I asked him. He tried to just push through it, so it gives me a chance to train on him a little. But he's sure wanting to just travel through here and be the right kind of horse. It is really tough for me to steer him and try to video at the same time, so you're gonna get one or the other. Either me actually steering where I'm going, or me halfway paying attention to what this video is doing, him just going where he thinks he needs to go. Which ain't the end of the world either. Here's a boggy spot here, potentially. I see tracks in it, so something's walked through here. Makes me pretty sure I can. But you can see, hopefully you can see that little puddle there. There's not much. That's enough for a cow to get a drink of water. And that's the funny thing about these deserts, is they hold the water. And so a lot of times when you don't think there could possibly be anything out here at all, there are. But I don't have, there's a little, I'm sure that didn't come up. It's kangaroo mouse. They cracked me up. I'm gonna turn this off. Well, I imagine by this point, me videoing like that, it's gonna make everybody seasick. So instead of doing that, I'll just call it good. You guys see where I'm at, what I'm doing. I am actually riding a horse, not on a sitting at the computer making up cowboy stories. This water treatment facility, a guy could say, well, gee, Brad, if you needed to trot over there, that water treatment facility, and look and see if there was a cow, why didn't you just drive your pickup over there? Obviously somebody can drive some pickups over there. Well, it's because I didn't know how to get there. I get lost in a pickup. I don't get lost on a horse. There's no fresh sign, no tracks or anything. There are some tracks, but they're not fresh tracks. We'll just ride around a little bit, see if we can see anything at all, so that we've got something to say. If anybody listened to this, the other talkie I did the other day, while I was coming out and getting the cows that were under my care, that were out here where they were not supposed to be, about a week ago. You remember, I had to recap it because my battery ran out on my talker, but I talked about having to drive cows up top of the hill and cross them over a fence that wasn't really there, this, that, and the other. There's that hill right there in front of me, and it's not very far, so I'm going to trot over. From there, I've got a pretty good view of the world around here anyway. Give me an opportunity to look around. That's kind of my nature anyway. Anytime there's a hill, I want to climb up on top of it, look and see what there is. But all told, no matter how this goes down, Bucky's going to be a better horse for it. Got a chance to go do something, and there's a lot of times if you're training horses and you're in an arena, you've got to come up with work for them, and that's dang sure better than just exercise after exercise after exercise, and maneuver. It's darn sure better to come up with something, no matter what it is. We all have to do that. But I tell you, for the horse's mentality, nothing beats having an actual agenda. Me having an agenda. There's a job we're gonna go do, and go do it. Even if it turns out to be a goose hunt. Goose chase. Yes, goose chase is the phrase. If you got the goose, then you would accomplish something. That would be a goose hunt. Anyway, even if it turns out to be a goose chase, like this is going to be, it's still better for the mentality of this horse. It's just something about the fact that I've got a real agenda and something I actually need done. These horses learn a lot better how to be a better horse. So I'm not going to find any cattle out here because there aren't any, but this is going to be better for this horse anyway. So it was a great opportunity to take a colt rather than take a broke horse. Might have been a little easier for me on a broke horse, but I wouldn't have improved it at all. This colt, I'm making him a better guy just by doing this. So here I am at the top. I can see pretty good all the way around, and yes, this indeed was a wild goose chase. There's nothing to be seen where, like I said, there was allegedly a confirmed sighting. And from here, I could see miles and miles and miles. Like, I can see well over 100 miles in a couple of different directions. Well, Brett, that might be a good opportunity to get the camera out. Okay. So I can see a long ways, but reckoning on the topography of the country, in these several 100,000 acres that I can see, doesn't mean there's not a cow there that I am not seeing, if that makes any sense. So shy of riding all this country. Hey, Bucky, don't do that. Shy of trying to ride all that country, I'm just counting on the fact that there is indeed not any cattle here where somebody thought there was. Here is the spot where I know there's feed and water. That off? Yeah. Which is to say there's water right here close to where I'm at. If they were out there, 50 miles out there, there may be some puddles and some this and that where they can drink, because I talked about the desert holding the water so good. But if there is, they're going to be running out of water pretty quick. They're going to be headed back this direction. So if they're out there, the water will gather them. They're definitely not here. That is indeed a shadow over there, isn't it? Yes. They're definitely not here. So I can report back to base. No cows here. You farmers need to get a hobby. And that's part of the deal here. I could wear out in all the space where these cattle could potentially be. I could wear out every horse in my barn and then some, checking every bowl and every low spot. I talked on that other deal about sometimes it's hard to tell in this desert, but there's tons and tons of feed out here. We had snow, and then we had a couple of little rains, and this ground likes to hold water, so there's a lot of water. So I could wear out 15 head of horses tromping around out here trying to find 2 cows, but I'm not gonna. If they are out here, eventually the dryness will gather them for me. To some place or another. And that's partially on the MO that, like I've stated, there's that one little set of cows I'm supposed to be taking care of, but I'm not cowboying for somebody here. This is just a favor deal, just a friend deal, helping the guy out. It's easier for me to look after his cattle than it is for him. My pay is going to be a couple of cases of beer at best. So that's how I'm treating this. But even if I was working for wages, and I was working for one ranch and maybe not have cows out on another ranch and yada yada yada, that's how I'd still treat this. Like, what do you want me to do? Spend a week and wear out 15 head of horses, trot around and find maybe 3 cows or maybe find nothing? Well, that's silly. I've worked for the kind of ranchers and neighbored the kind of ranchers where I would have to do essentially what I'm doing here. Go out and put a couple horse tracks out and say, well, I've been looking. And not actually care, because she'll gather herself when it gets dry. But that's where we're at. It was a pretty old hard trot for Bucky. It wasn't all that far out here really, but the sand's deep, recently been wet, it's heavy. I even trod a couple of hills here, so headed back to the house, just walking for a second. I didn't catch his breath. It's all good. You can make a monster out of one, especially one that really wants to trot. You can make a monster out of them by letting them trot all the time. That'll probably do. Hit ourselves a trot again. Why, by golly, come off that hill and kind of slid through brush there. Ended up right back to my own tracks the way I come out. Funny how that works. It's amazing to me that I will get lost in a pickup in an instant, but put my horse back in a piece of desert I don't know. Somehow or another I managed to figure out where I need to be. Don't always know how to get there. There's a funny little structure right here. I'm coming by, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 little posts, kind of all close together and arranged in a certain way. I don't know if it was, there's a low spot here. I don't know if at one time that was maybe supposed to be like a spreader dam, or I don't know exactly what it was there, but you find some cool stuff fiddling around like this. Find a lot of stuff you don't know what it is. Some stuff you do know what it is. Once in a while you find stuff you wish you hadn't found. That doesn't happen all that often. Buckers, let's cut through right here. Alright, trust me, it's faster. I know that way looks better. This way's faster. Trotting out here, I had a general idea of where this water treatment deal thing was, and so I just sort of headed west and kind of pretty well hit the nail on the head. And that was pure, whoa, that's deep right there. That was purely by accident that I hit the nail on the head as far as came out right on it. But I did a little meandering around back and forth, and so on my way back I got a better idea of where I'm going back, so I make it faster and straighter. Now Bucky might think this is not as good an idea as I do, because topographically speaking, he's got to climb some hills and go down some hills and go through some ups and downs, where the way he wanted to go, which he knows the way back just as good as I do, the way he wanted to go, he wanted to follow the lay of the land, stay in the low country where the ground was a little better. I had to do a tiny bit of convincing that we're going to go do it my way. Another thing to think about for you riders is that, like I said, it wasn't ground soft, pardon me, soft and deep and heavy coming out here, so it's hard work for him, but it's not like I've been crashing the brush for 4 hours on him and I've got 20 miles to trot home. You know, I've got 2 miles to trot home, if that. So it's not like a matter of really having to save my horse. If that was the case, I had a long way to go back, and I dang sure did have a tired horse, I'd go his way, even though it'd take a little longer. But just to save him, well, as it is, I don't need to save him. He's not wore out. He might think he is, but he's not. I don't have a heck of a long way to go, and I'm trying to make the most out of this ride to get him a little bit broker. So going this way that's a little bit faster, but a little bit harder for him, I'm getting just a little bit more out of each footfall. Well, you should have steered if you didn't want to walk through that bush. And now we're stuck in a bush. You'll still steer better next time. Anyway, I'm just getting a little bit more out of each footfall doing it this way by making it a little harder on him. And again too, if I had a cowboy job and he was on the rotation, every 5th day we went out and made a circle. Well, I might be more inclined to save him a little, especially if he brought it up. That shows me a horse that's starting to have some cognizance, starting to have some linear thinking abilities. And so there's a little bit of argument there where he goes, no, let's take this easy way. That tells me he's thinking about the world. Well, as it is, I don't have that. I'm not making a circle 6 days a week, cowboying on this horse. So I'm making the best of this little job that I've got today by taking the hard way. I really appreciate the fact that he's showing some cognizance, some linear thought processes, but we're going to do it the hard way anyway. And again, not every bit of it. I'm going to foster that cognizance as much as I can. So right there, I came down a hill. Wasn't very steep, but a little steep on this deep ground. And the way we were going, we were pointed kind of straight down it. Well, I didn't say one way or the other. Let the dealer have the choice. And he went ahead and skirted pretty hard to the right to take that little hill at an angle to where it was easier on him. I'm not going to argue with him about that. You know, that showed some forward thinking. Aha, it's a hard way to get down this hill, which is straight down. There's an easy way to get down this hill, which is sideways. And don't have to change my gait, don't have to change my balance, don't have to do anything. I can just scoop on down there. Well, he made that decision on his own, so I let him. There could be times when I needed him to go down straight for things I knew about that he didn't know about. Can't think of any examples of that off the top of my head, but there's times. And that's the sign of a broke horse, is one that even though he sees a better way, he'll let me do it his way or my way, because I know something he doesn't know. But any chance I get, that's one of the finer points of horse training. And not to knock performance arena trainers at all. Those guys are amazing, do amazing stuff, get horses to do things that seem impossible. So I'm not knocking those guys at all. I don't want anybody to think that, but that's one of the finer points of horse training that they don't get to do very much, and gets missed out with them, because in the arena, when it's just you in the arena and you've got 1, 2, 3 exercises you're going to do, and there's 2 maneuvers in each one, and then you work the cow and put her away and do it again the next day. There's no opportunity for that horse to look for a better way, to look for a easier way to make some decisions, to build cognizance, for me to foster that linear thinking. It's just not there. It's the nature of the beast. So that's a fun thing about being able to get outside. He tried to make one decision that I told him we weren't going to do, but a lot of these other decisions I'm letting him do. I'm letting him make. Where he sees something better, he sees an easier way, I'll let him. And maybe not even necessarily an easier way. I mean, I'll let him be wrong too. But a way he wants to do it, that's fine with me. And that's what makes these really, really broke bridle horses that read your mind and do have to thinking for you, is these opportunities giving them those opportunities and then letting them have the opportunity. Well, that's the same thing, giving them opportunities and letting them have. Setting up for these opportunities and then letting them have the opportunity to make a decision, right, wrong, or indifferent. And that's where you get these minor eating type of horses. Lucky's a long ways off from that. That's all right. He's just a kid. But it's cool to me that he's already starting to, when given the opportunity, he takes it. It's a funny world, the world of horse training, is that there's things you can do in the arena that you can't do outside, and there's things you can do outside that there's no possible way to get it done in the arena. You know, the obvious deal is half and half, a little of this and a little of that. But truth is, that doesn't work out quite the way you think it would either. Sometimes that moderation isn't necessarily the way to go, in the sense that if you're trying to build a show horse and you know, you've got the opportunity for the ranch, well, heck yeah, use it. But it's going to make you a better horse, but not necessarily a better show horse. You're not going to have the advantage of the win on account of that necessarily. Same deal with, you know, you've got a ranch and a big cow outfit to train your horse on, but you also have the opportunity to go get in the arena. Yes, it is going to make it a better horse, but it's not necessarily going to make it a better ranch horse doing things in that arena. So it's not quite as simple as it seems that, oh well, we just need a training facility, super good genetics, and a ranch. It doesn't quite work that way. And then again, this is not intended to be a disparaging remark at all. It's just the truth that a whole lot of the guys that make a really super nice show horse don't know how to use the ranch, even if they've got it. And on the other side of the coin there, a whole lot of guys that can make a really nice ranch horse on the ranch don't know how to use the arena if they've got it. I've heard it said a bunch that, well, and there's several horse sales in the country that this is kind of what they hang their hat on and everything, but there's people that have this idea and they say, well, I'd rather have a really broke ranch horse, even though I'm going to do all arena stuff, because then all you got to do is just go to the arena, they already know it all. Well, nah, it doesn't work that way at all. And then I've heard the other side of the coin too, where, well, that's a really nice horse, but he's just arena broke, and I'm going to use him on the ranch, so I don't want him. I want one that knows how the ranch works. Well, it doesn't work that way either. From my personal observations, you can take a straight up arena horse, if he's trained and trained well and broke, you can take a straight up arena horse and go to the ranch, and it'll take him 3 or 4 days or maybe a week to get everything figured out. Rocks, cactuses, brush. You know, the fact that these aren't hour-long rides, they're 8-hour-long rides. You know, takes him a minute to figure it out. But after a handful of days, he doesn't seem like the horse that's never been on the ranch. He's got that ranch figured out. He just seems like a really, really, really broke horse on the ranch. On the adverse of that, one that's straight off the desert, you take him to the arena. They'll figure it out. They'll make, but it's not in 3 or 4 days. It takes them quite a little while to figure out the differences, how stall life works, how arena life works, this and that. So Um, for my money, I'd buy a horse that's never stepped foot out of the arena and take him to the ranch faster than I'd buy a horse that's never stepped foot in the arena and try to take him to the roping pen. That's for my money. Little of both is good, but it's also not the secret recipe. It's not the thing everybody's missing. Truth is, the secret recipe and the thing everybody's missing is just good horsemanship. If you just do a good job, they'll figure it out. Really, really interested why there's a soccer goalie out in the middle of the soccer goal out in the middle of the desert. Not goalie, that's the person that catches the ball. The goal is where you try to kick the ball into. It's a strange thing to find. But we're about done here. Got back to where creeping up on the road with my neighbors. Let Bucky hit a walk here just a second ago. And it's, I don't know, 3/4 mile, half mile to the house, whatever that is. And just let him walk, catch his breath, process some of the stuff he learned. We gotta walk past this scary stuff. I guess you can probably hear some of those dogs and see how or if we react different to those. He perked his ears at him, but that was it. He's kind of like, I'm a ranch horse now. I don't care about a kennel full of hounds. Oh, maybe a little. Maybe I care a little. Anyway, the rest of this is just going to be barking dogs, so I'll shut her off. So much to the Patreon crew. You guys are the reason we're able to do this and do the extra things and really do all the YouTube videos too. We wouldn't be able to make it work without you guys. So thank you so much. And any of the rest of you can jump on and watch any of these extra kind of things that we do on Patreon and see what's going on there. So check that out if you can.